Hey guys, Tony here, and in this video I'm going to talk about the Krix MX10 speaker setup that I have in my home theater and address the issue that I have, which is the big Null right in the main listening position. I made a video recently discussing this issue and I got a lot of feedback from the community on how to fix the problem, and I'm not sure if everyone who wrote watched the entire video before doing so, because I actually made the video after I found a solution to the problem. A lot of the feedback that I received just wouldn't work for my setup, such as inverting the phase of the subwoofers and moving them around the room, and I wanted to try and break down how my home theater is set up, why I have the speakers I do, and some of the challenges and how I have gone about fixing them, so stay tuned. So before I can explain the solution to the problem, I want to explain a few things to help clear up some of the confusion and the conventional wisdom that people have been offering me since I aired the issue. Anyone that has seen any of my videos for any length of time will know I like to show the bad with the good, and I don't try to mask my journey in a veil of sunshine. This hobby can be a tough mistress, especially as in my case the room itself just isn't the best shape or layout for a home theater. After my initial setup of 2 rows in my tiny room, I had made a connection at Krix, and after a lot of discussions I came to the sad realization that having 2 rows just wasn't ideal for my room, and I wanted to make a change so that I could make it the best it could be. So let me list the main challenges with my room, which will help you understand the problem. The room itself is only 3.6 meters wide by 4.6 meters deep, and the proportion is pretty much a square. The home is a double story, so running cables is a real challenge because the rack is in a different room. Having the door at the front means that the tower speakers that I wanted initially just wasn't possible, and having on-wall speakers and big subwoofers would have been an absolute eyesore and in the way. These are just some of the constraints that I've had in the quest to build the perfect home theater for me, and are the main points I wanted to raise for the purposes of discussing this issue, specifically about the Null in my main listening position. When I spoke to Krix about some options for speakers, there were a few choices available. There is the SX line of speakers, which is not specifically tied together and can be mixed and matched and placed around the room. These include the Megaphonics, and they would have been a great choice for me, as I could have picked 3 for my LCR and also chosen a conventional subwoofer like the Volcanix. So, I could then place it around the room as necessary. However, I was after a more stealthy look to my theater and felt that the small size of the room, it wouldn't have been conducive to having, big cabinet speakers on the walls or the floor, but I still wanted to achieve that cinematic audio that I knew Krix was known for. That's where the MX series of speakers came in. These are a modular system of speakers designed to fit behind a screen to be concealed from view while still producing the most cinematic and precise audio experience that you would get if you were in the cinema. In the production of this video, and wanting to make sure that I gave the correct information, I was fortunate enough to speak with Krix about my specific issue and was able to get directly from them the purpose for these speakers and to relate it back to my specific use case. The MX series allowed me to have big speakers, these have 10-inch drivers in them, in the front soundstage, and my cavity was 400mm, and although I couldn't fit standard tower speakers in there, these MX10s fit perfectly. Previously, to get around this issue, I had little klipsch bookshelf speakers mounted underneath the screen, and that was always a bone of contention for me, even though I had them aimed upwards. The other benefit of having the MX speakers behind the screen and inside an alcove is that they can create the infinite baffle configuration, as well as these specific speakers, the MX speakers, all have an acoustic material on the front which will then absorb the reflections that are coming off from the back of the screen, because the screen will still reflect some sound even as the sound is passing through it. I was also fortunate enough to have some spacer panels made up for me, that I could put inside the LCR and the subwoofers, and these speakers not only sound amazing, but they look great as well. Now, I won't delve too deeply into the rest of my speaker configuration as it's not entirely relevant to this video, but I did go with 4 Krix Symmetrics in-wall speakers for my sides and my rear surrounds, as the Megaphonics in-walls that I did initially want have a minimum mounting depth of I think 150mm, and in Australia the standard sort of depth for walls is around 90mm. Now, these Symmetrics are a very capable speaker, and as you can see, from the B-roll, they look really nice in my theater. They give that nice look. You can see even behind me, I've got them lit up really nicely. Similarly, my overhead speakers that I went with I didn't want to cut holes directly overhead as I have a star ceiling, and yes, that's perfectly acceptable to do, but I have mine in my bulkhead, and the Atmospherics A20s are an angled tweeter and driver, and you can aim them at the main listening position. Again, these are a very capable speaker. They produce, a sound that is, in line with having these MX10 speakers. Everything just blends together really well, and you don't seem to have an overpowering sound from the front and a diminished sound in the sides or the rears or overhead. So let's look at the actual problem. And that is, having the two subwoofers in the baffle wall configuration limited the opportunity for me to do the sub crawl, which I have done previously with my other setup. And in my discussions with Krix about this, it's not something that's necessarily a problem with every room. And, a lot of installations that have the MX series of speakers don't have this issue because of the materials inside their walls, the walls themselves, and also they probably don't all have a squarish room like me. It just happens to be that my room, being such a square, created the null right here in the main listening position, and I would sort of be missing out on what I felt like was the full spectrum of LFE, almost up to the mid-range. I did try moving the speakers and the subwoofers around to see if it made a difference, but it really didn't. So as I mentioned in my previous video, I added a third sub to the mini DSP, and I placed it in the back left corner of the room, and the results were, outstanding in the sense that it was giving me what I was missing without that third sub. So I did make the decision to order another Krix subwoofer, and I wanted it to be more capable than the klipsch one that I had, especially because that needed to go back out to the main room. Michael from Krix recommended to me the Volcanix Slim as a good option. This is a slim subwoofer, as the name suggests. When I added it in, it filled in all of the gaps that I had in the middle seat, with a full range of tactile feel from the feet all the way up to the chest. And that was what was previously missing, and it was even a significant improvement from the klipsch subwoofer that I had before, which was pretty sort of boomy. This just has a really tight, punchy feel to it. Now, before everyone gets going in the comments section, which I know is going to happen anyway, Krix were very open with me about this being a reasonable and viable solution to this problem. If I had not gone with the MX series and gone with the SX series or any other type of speaker, I would still have the issue that I have now. And I probably would still have to move a subwoofer to that corner or another corner to improve it. Likewise, I could actually take these MX10 subs and put them on the sides and the rear, but then you lose the benefit of having the baffle wall. So anyone that's into this hobby and loves speakers and loves subwoofers, and myself, I'm no exception, so the idea of adding a third sub or even a fourth subwoofer if it was necessary didn't really take me too much convincing. So ultimately, it ended up fixing the problem for me. So I'll show you a quick unboxing of the Volcanix Slim. I had a lot of fun unboxing it. Mick was giving me a hand. I was really excited to unbox it. Whether or not I had the MX10 infinite baffle wall configuration, my room would still be a challenge to get the best bass response in the middle seat due to its shape. So this solution worked out for me, and it didn't break the bank. So in summary, adding a third subwoofer fixed the issue for me, as I couldn't break up the baffle wall, and in my opinion, it's a totally reasonable solution to the problem. Working out subwoofer placement is something that needs to be done with every single setup, and this was a lesson to me to work within the constraints of my room and also within my means. So special thanks to Mick from Sydney HIFI for helping me with this project, as well as the team at Krix for providing me with some valuable insights into the intention and use cases behind the MX series of speakers. If you liked the video and you found it helpful, make sure you smash the like button for me. And if you'd like to follow me on my home theatre journey, consider subscribing to the channel, as I make regular videos about home theatre and also audio, video, and other things to do with this amazing hobby. I'll have more videos of my setup coming very soon, but that's it for this one. You'll catch me in the next one. Bye for now.